So with Mr. B, we're going to try a little bit with some of that excitement and coming down, but also seeing if we can play with a toy. So I like to typically try and do dog-centric play. So this a lot of times has like a little creature that smells intriguing and it can maybe start to move. If, for example, he doesn't go for it today, I'm not too worried about it. This is his first time at the doggy day school and he's not really sure, again, of me compared to you guys. So remember, generalization of skills might take some time, especially in new environments. I want to see if he finds this one to be a little bit more intriguing. What do you think, sir? So this is just a bumper. Oh, he does like that one. So this is a bumper sort of tug toy. I like to, in the beginning, have the puppies check it out, see if they find it engaging. Ready? You want to go get it? Want to go get the toy? He's like, maybe, slightly intrigued. He's like, lady, I don't know if I can perform my first day under all this pressure. So obviously, I know you guys are building some toy drive in the handsome guy. If there's moments where, again, toys lose their value, I'd recommend to rotate through them so they're not always the same ones out and about all the time. Keep the special ones that you want to keep for engagement with you away and then bring them out as need be. So if he doesn't find this one as appealing, I know he has one from home. I'll maybe grab that one for a second, see if he finds that to be a little bit more intriguing. I know I'm kind of out of the camera range for a moment. And then we'll see. I know we have his little Frisbee. So we'll try, maybe we'll do him in just a second. We'll see if he wants to go for this toy. And if he doesn't have tons of toy drive in the first session, don't worry. This is, again, novelty for him. We're building confidence. He's trying to figure out the environment. So if he's not super toy driven for his first time here at Doggy Day School, not the end of the world, we will work through things that do motivate him. So again, if he's still more food driven for right now, we'll use that as the motivational tool to help Mr. B. If, again, he's not really going for that guy, we could try a little bit with his Frisbee, see if there's some intriguement. Ready? He's like, lady, that seems somewhat intriguing. What do you think? Want to try it? He's like, I grabbed it for like 3 seconds. And that's okay. We'll try this one again next week if we're more interested. So for the handsome guy, what I would like to work on then is maybe if he's not super toy driven right now, no big deal. We're going to go ahead and warm up with maybe some lovely recall exercises. So what I would highly recommend is you'll see Mr. B is wearing his longer lead, which is really helpful. Even in that fenced-in zone, if you're finding that he's trying to play keep away, where he's almost like the gingerbread man saying, you'll never catch me now, I would highly recommend to keep the long line, not to drag him into the environment you'd rather or to bring him back in. But there's a couple good recall rules to think about. So if recall ends the fun, he might start to associate being called as we're going back inside, or we're ending the play, or he's being brought to a part of the home maybe he doesn't want to be hanging out in for the moment. So remember to always use your recall as a fun but pleasurable situation. So if, let's say, my pup was doing an awesome job coming into the house every time I called him, eventually that might start to change, because every time I call my lovely dog, it means we're leaving the outside fun world and going back inside where it might seem a little bit more boring. So I would highly recommend maybe you call him to you several times, and maybe on the 7th or the 5th or the 3rd recall, we go back into the house for some vegging. The other thing too is make sure recalls are never paired with something scary. So if he's scared of nail time, of his harness, whatever the situation, don't pair a recall towards the spooky thing or the spooky situation, because then your recall is going to start to get paired with scary things, and then Mr. B might be more apprehensive to come to a recall because it might be paired with the spooky. And he won't know when it's going to be safe and when it will be unsafe from his perspective. So the other one is, even if he's done the silliest thing ever, he ran away and he eventually came back and was all in one piece, I would still not get agitated with him for finally coming, because then he's going to think coming to us is at times dangerous and therefore something he maybe should avoid in the future. So he's like, lady, that was too far. I love how he only has so much of a range when he's starting off. So for Mr. B, I'm going to go ahead and start off with just, again, letting him get distracted by a snack. We'll have him, he's like, nope, that went too far as well. Some of these rolly snacks, he says, those go too far in this big, big world. So we're going to start off sort of closer, have him go do a little find it, and then from there, I might wander away and then go, bear, come. Yes, and feed him for that. So you could also be doing some recalls from smells and other distractions in the yard, but make sure, again, a recall isn't a way to disengage him from the environment all the time. Otherwise, if every time we call him, we're taking him away from a really nice odor, then recalls, again, start to become the end of fun. So I'm going to send him away so he can go get distracted. Again, make sure your lead is enough length so you're not clotheslining. Bear, come. And then feed for that lovely response. Gorgeous. If he was in that fenced-in zone, you could always drag the lead. So get your dog comfortable with sometimes dragging the equipment can also be helpful for inside the home too. So I'm going to go ahead, send Mr. B away for a lovely little find it. And again, Bear, come. Yes. And again, feed that lovely guy. He's like, I don't know if I like that one. That's all right. We'll see if he likes it on the floor. Good job. So getting your babes to, again, practice this behavior before you need it is going to be crucial. So if the only time we work recall is when we actually needed it, that might be too hard of a starting point for the handsome guy because he doesn't quite know what to expect. So again, Bear, come. Yes. So this could even be from a sitting position. So let's say you're working weights. So you could get your lovely boy to go into a sit, tell him to wait, have him hold it for a few seconds, and then Bear, come. He's like, my brain melted. If he's a little bit stuck, I might go to him, show him the food, and lure him into my spot, which was next to me or in front of me. So don't worry if at times he falters or he gets a little confused. Remember that the learning situation, chewing is still optional. The learning situation, just like with us, takes lots of repetitions to master a new skill. And especially if it's, again, a behavior that's more common for us versus him, that could be making it a little harder. So if, let's say, you were busy, you didn't really get to do the verbal cue of the recall, but your dog did come to check in, I would feed them for that. So this is, again, where let's say he gets a little distracted. He's like, leash is tickling my toes. You may also sometimes warm up a little bit of loose leash walking. And anytime he comes nearby or orients back to you, feed them for that. So this way we're teaching Mr. B that staying nearby or being near the handler has really good association. So let's say he gets a little distracted. Bear, come. Nice. I would also make sure that the amount of recalls do not become so many that he gets overwhelmed. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have 10 really great recalls. Sometimes you might do 2. Sometimes you might do 4. Maybe another time you do maybe the 10, but not every time will you do 10 to 15 to the point where he doesn't want to do a recall. So Bear, come. Yes. So obviously in this closed environment, he's doing quite well, but we might find that you escalate the distractions, you maybe have different things going on in the environment, and then like what we mentioned over the phone, we might be doing what's a bit of trigger stacking. So it could be that he's already tired, he's maybe feeling a little stressed out, then there's some weird noises outside or some new aromas, and you might just lose him to that environment at the moment. So Bear, come. So if you think that you're going to be 90% certain he's going to recall, then go for it. If you're pretty certain he's not going to do as well, don't keep saying it where he's losing the meaning behind the cue or where he might be getting not so good at something. So make sure that when you ask for the behavior, you're pretty certain he's going to do it. That way, sorry, I just saliva. That way you're making sure that you're setting him up for success while learning these new behaviors. So highly recommend another great way to practice recall practice would be to do this in the home. And if you have, again, you and your spouse or you and a friend or some other person that's available for practice, you could go ahead and have him bounce back and forth between the two people. So that way he's kind of going back and forth between you two and working a couple little recalls in the yard or in the home. But if, let's say, he is getting a little bit flustered and let's say he starts getting mouthy or jumpy and you've tried to redirect him and he's not responding, that could definitely be, I need a break, or this is too hard, or I don't get it. So again, we'll do another little find it for Mr. Handsome, get him off in the distance. Bear, come. Yes, very pretty. Gorgeous. Nice job. So we'll just jackpot that for a second. So remember, a jackpot is where you feed several little snacks for a behavior that you really like or for a skill. Chewing is still tricky at times. Oh my goodness. So, but, he's like, guys, I almost got it while I was breathing. So with Mr. Handsome, I would recommend the long line is also one of my favorite ways to practice loose leash walking as well. So that way, as you're just kind of moving around, you would just be feeding your dog for any time they're orbiting or coming near you softly. So I like to sometimes just either have them be dragging the lead, or you can hang on to the very end. And if you need to, you can always let go. But this way, we're just feeding Mr. B for being nearby. So even if he's not necessarily doing your left or your right, I would still make it seem pleasurable to give any good attempt in the beginning. Because remember, view all of these different behaviors as having a bank account. So if the bank account has not had tons of deposits for certain things, then that means the dog may find very little value in that skill or behavior. So right now, with all these lovely deposits, we are creating value and checking in with the crazy snack lady, but also making sure that what we're working on has value for Mr. B. Nice. So I want to try a little bit again. We're getting Mr. B a little excited and then see if I can get him from there. So this is where, again, I'd like to have a few snacks ready on me, so I'm not trying to reach into my pouch and grab them, but I want to see if I can go ahead and get him a little excited. Yeah, ready? Oh, and then right into a little find it. So if, again, like what I mentioned earlier, if when you're revving the engine, he's getting lost, don't start so high in the difficulty. So again, we're going to try once more to get Mr. Handsome's attention. We're going to go ahead and ready. He's like, lady, I'm ready. We try to go a little faster. Yeah, what a good boy. Yeah, ready? Find it. So I'm trying to, again, have it seem fun to move or wiggle around with me, but I am not the target. So as he's getting excited, I then try to help calm that brain by going back and feeding or foraging on the ground. Eventually, you could be going from this excitement and some play and some other options to then asking for a sit, for a down, for all of a sudden going to their place and settling. Ready? So, but we might get him a little excited. Yeah. Oh, what a good boy. Yeah. Yeah. Ready? Find it. Gorgeous. So again, he's doing a really nice job being able to bounce back and forth between that arousal or that excitement and coming back. So now we might go into a little sit. Yes. Nice job. What a smart boy. So, and again, we're just kind of working through his skill set. The first day tends to be, again, more about getting cozy and comfortable in this new environment with all the different sights and sounds that is the environment here that he's practicing in. So right now, he's a little distracted. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Yes. And I'm just busting out that pattern game that we worked on a little bit earlier. The 1, 2, 3 game, as I mentioned, great way to start honing your dog in from a distraction or something they find hard. But again, if we start off with the hardest moment to try it, he may not have enough of a foundation thinking that there's a benefit to the pattern game in the first place. So again, I'm going to get his attention, just send him away with a couple little snacks, get him distracted. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Nice job, Mr. B. Gorgeous. So again, send him away with a little snack. 1, 2, 3. Yes, good boy. Nice job. So again, I'm going to send him off again. So you'll see he's like, that's a lot of work moving around. So we might get a little closer so we can go find it. Nice. 1, 2, 3. Yes, good boy. So you'll see that I am trying to also mark the behavior as we're practicing. I know at times we sometimes are a little spacey. I sometimes get a little distracted as I'm blabbing. So right now, 1, 2, 3. Yes, what a good boy. So we may find the pattern game of the 1, 2, 3 one to be very beneficial. So you can see that it is seeming to work for Mr. B. He's hearing me start counting and all of a sudden he checks in. So that might be also the beginning stages of maybe some of those recall moments where he's a little over aroused, a little flustered, and then you maybe are working that pattern game in and around the home, and now all of a sudden you use it outside and it makes sense to him. But remember, you might have to generalize all of these different little skills in those different environments. So if we were doing the pattern game again, we'd want to make sure that, oh my goodness, chewing, is that we would feed him for these lovely moments. So I might go 1, 2, 3, and then feed on 3. 1, 2, 3, and feed. 1, 2, 3, and feed. Gorgeous. 1, 2, 3. Nice job. So that way we're, again, still creating value in those different bubbles at level 1 of starting point versus going all the way to the pattern game to the original sort of end result and trying for that in that harder zone. Good job, Mr. B. That was beautiful. So very nice little practice.